Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're Masechtas Taanit daf Yud Zayin. We are going to begin on the top of Yud Zayin with Aleph, the second line from the top. Al Rishaynu Oimer Mishon as Avraham Mechulu. So we're talking about the extra brachos that are said during the last set of 7 fasts in the event that there's no rain. Tana Yesh Machlifin Sa'akol Eliyahu Utfil L'Shmuel. Some people actually will not mention the tza'aka by Shmuel, but rather by Eliyahu, and tefillah by Shmuel. Now, Bishlam Gami Shmuel, I can understand how possibly they can be interchangeable because both of them do apply. Ksiv beit tefillah, ksiv beit tza'aka. When it comes to Shmuel, it does mention both of them. However, Gabi Eliyahu tefillah ksiv, tza'aka lo ksiv, it says anenu. Aneinu Hashem Aneinu, as we saw in Gemara Brachos, it's there twice actually, and it's a tefillah. So Gemara says yes, but Aneni Hashem Aneni is also tza'akahi. It's also language of crying out. Look at Rashi. Tza'aka Eliyahu kisvu es kol Yisrael hamitzpasa vespal ba'adchem tza'aka v'yichal Shmuel v'yizak el Hashem kol halayla. So it says beferish by Shmuel that it says Yizok. So he cried out to Hashem all night. And then skipping a few lines to the next Rashi, Gabi Eliyahu b'maisa dahar hakarmel. When we find that Eliyahu was at the fateful time with the karbanos and going against the Nebiah Habal with Achav and Izebel, that he was mispalel. Ksiv tefillah. The Chsiv Aneni Hashem Aneni, the Mashma Lashon Bakasha Tefillah, who is asking that the fire should come from the heavens. V'lo Lashon Sa'aka Mishani. The Gemara answers Aneni Hashem Aneni Lashon Sa'akahu Kach Shamati. So it also has the possible meaning of Sa'aka. Al Shishis Hu Aimer Misha Anes Yoina. Al Shvias Hu Aimer Misha Anes David. So first we mentioned Yonah, which of course is among the Triyasar. And then it talks about Shmuel. It talks about David and Shlomo, which, of course, David and Shlomo are introduced in Sefer's Shmuel, Shmuel Aleph, Shmuel Bet, and then Malachim. Now, those Sfarim are the Nevi'im Harishonim, which certainly come before Yonah. So, Michti, Yonah basa David, Ushlomi Havi, my time amaktim le Bereisha. It's actually out of chronological order. The answer that's true, Mishum deboy lemichta merachim al aretz, because we want to conclude with merachim al aretz. So that's the reason why we mention David and Shlomo last, because we want that Hashem should have compassion on the land of Eretz Yisrael. Tana mishum sumchas amru baruch mashbil haramim. The bracha is mashbil haramim, that he takes down those individuals who are high, the mighty ones. Okay, says Rashi, "De boy lemechtam b'soiv kol brachos baruch maracham al aretz v'hachi boy ba'oisa chasima David Shlomo shin hispalu al Eretz Yisrael." They davened for Eretz Yisrael, so therefore even though they came before Yonah, that's still the proper order. Inami, says Rashi, mishum de'inhu takun beis hamikdash do ikar haaretz, because they were involved in the building of the Beis HaMikdash, of course, Shlomo Melch, and that is the ikar of the land. And then it says, Baruch Ma'ashbil Haramim, Rashi says, Aymer b'makam Baruch Marachim, shehichisom b'mater sheshavu b'tshuva, that they should repent. Sholosh Tanis Rishonis Hashi Mishmor Mesanvil Mishalman. So we had a machlokis, Danshi Mishmor, out of the 24 groups. So there's a mishmor for the week, and then it's broken up into 7 parts called Bate Avos, or Beis Av. So depending on if you're just part of the mishmor for that week, or this is your day, the question is, do you complete the fast, or you don't fast at all? Taraban, Nebnei Ma Amru. Why do we say that Anshi Mishmor return Lishtos Yain B'Leilo Sevel B'Yomim? Why do we say that they're allowed to drink wine at night? So, but not during the day. It's not their day anyway. The answer is because they always have to be on call. Because even though it's not their day, but because it's their week, if that base of sees that there's too much going on that particular day, they'll call on reinforcements from their mishmor, and therefore they obviously cannot be intoxicated. Why can't they even drink at night? Because they're constantly involved in the avoda, so we don't want them to be intoxicated at all. From here we see the kol kohen shemakar mishmarto bizman hazeh, in the year 2021, when a kohen knows which mishmar he's part of, umishmeres beisav shelo, he even knows to the day. The yodeh shabbat yavosav kavuin sham asu lishtos yain kol asayim. On that day in which he would know that he was the one, this was his day, that he should not drink any wine. Says Rashi, kol yom kol hayom, that specific day, the sulo, but not more than that. The prohibition of him drinking wine is only on that day. Shemi yibana beis hamikdash, the tichbad ha'avoid v'hezet tzarich la'avoid. Maybe he'll need to do the avodah right away. But makir mishmarta, let's say you're makir your mishmeres, your shaim, which group for the week. They don't makir mishmeres beisav, but not for the week, but not for the day. Shaloi. Yodeh shabbat yavos kabun sham asul lishtos yain kol oisa Shabbos, because you don't know which day of the week it is. It's one of these days, so therefore you can't drink that entire week. Enu makir mishmartu mishmeres beisav shalo. Let's say a typical Kohen who doesn't really know which mishmer, which of the 24 mishmaros or which beisav he was from. So asulish tois yain kol hashana. Very interesting thing. So according to this, a Kohen should not be able to drink wine at all because he doesn't know, and there's a suffix, maybe today's the day. Rabbi Omer ani asulish tois yain hu'olam. The truth is he shouldn't be able to drink wine ever. Abu ma'aseh. The tikkun is the kilkel. What does that mean? So Rashi says the kilkel zu, the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, to kanasai. This actually is what is the remedy. It's been so long since the Beis Hamikdash has been rebuilt that we're not going to automatically assume that today's the day the Beis Hamikdash is going to be rebuilt, and today is the day that was your Beisav. And therefore, because we're so removed from the binyan, we're not chayshish of Shema Yibana HaMikdash. Omer Rabbi, Kaman Shaso Inna Kahani Chamra Karebi. It's like the opinion of Rabbi that allows Kohanim to drink wine. They can't get haircuts or launder. But on a Thursday they could. So my time is Samarabba, Barbarchan, Rabbi Yochanan, Kadeshli, Yichnichsu, Mishmar Tam, Kashin Meduvolim. We do not want them to enter into their mishmar while they look unkempt, not nice or repulsive. Tanabanan. Melech, and this is a Gemara we see elsewhere in Moed Katan, elsewhere, a king is mistaper chol yoim. Every day is to have get a haircut. A kohen gadol is every Shabbos, every Friday. Kohen hedjed achas l'shoshim yoim. A regular kohen has to get a haircut once a month. Melech mistaper chol yoim, my time law. Why every day? So Omer Rabbi Abba or Zabdo and Merkra, because the pasuk says Melech b'yofiyoi techazeno. He has to appear beautiful, and therefore he always has to be looking his best, like a fresh haircut. Kohen Gadol, Me'er Shabbos, my time is Rabbi Shmuel bar Yitzchak Choyel, Umishmeres Mischadashos. He needs to look good when this new group comes. So therefore, he has to make sure he has a haircut on Friday so that he looks nice for this new group. Kohen Hedyet Achas L'Shashim Yom Minol, and Asi Parapara Nazir. Just like a Nazir, Stam Nazir, so we're going to see it's 30 days, so too when it comes to a Kohen, you should get a haircut every 30 days. Ksiv Hacham Reshel Yigal Leichu, Parallel Yishal Leichu. Uksiv Hasam Kodesh Yegadol Peres Saroishai Malhon Shoshim. Just like a Nazir, if a person says I'm going to be a Nazir, that Nazir is 30 days if he didn't specify. Avkan Shloishim. So too when it comes to a Kohen head, he has to get a haircut every 30 days. But Nazir group of Manol, how do we know him? So Omer Rab Masda Stam Nazir Shloishim Yoim. So Manol, how do we know that's true? So Omer Kra, yeah. The pasuk says yeah, Yud Hey 10 5 10 5. Add them all up. That's become actually Tlas and have that's 30. Maybe the pasuk means Lo Rabu Klal. Don't grow your hair at all. In other words, maybe the Kohen Hedget it should be more, even less than 30 days. He has to get a haircut. If it was written in that way, then you'd be right. It means para lahavi. There should be growth. It shouldn't grow too exceedingly much. Shouldn't be too much. So maybe nowadays we should also require Kohanim to get haircuts every 30 days. After all, so we say no. When it comes to drinking wine, it comes on to drink wine. That's only the time when the Beis HaMikdash was kaim. But we established without the Beis HaMikdash, we don't have to worry about that. So too when it comes to getting haircuts, we don't have to require it. So Vasanya, and we learn Rabbi Ani Kohanim asul lishlosan l'olam. They're not allowed to drink wine. As we said before, because the Beis HaMikdash it's been so long since the Beis HaMikdash was rebuilt, we don't assume it's going to be rebuilt to aser the wine. The Rabbi Kamancho, so in the Kohani Chamra, as we saw already, as we continue now to use Beis, Rabbi. So we see that the din is like Rabbi, that we allow them to drink wine. But Mechlal, we can infer that's only Rabbi. The Rabbanan Asri. The Rabbanan would say it's not allowed. It says Rashi, I feel Shlom is Manbia, even without the Beis HaMikdash. So my time, Meheri, but the Beis HaMikdash, Ve'inan Kohen Haroi Lavod of Aleka. So the question is, since it must be that the Kohanim are not allowed to drink wine according to the sheet of the Rabbanan, so l'chayr we should say the same thing when it comes to getting a haircut. The Rabbanan should not allow it. Marissa says no. There's a difference between haircuts and there's a difference between getting a haircut and drinking wine. Because hacha efsher the mesaper ba'ayil. You can just get a quick haircut and go. Beis HaMikdash is being rebuilt. You're on in 30 minutes. Okay, I need a quick haircut. Just drank, fine. So you take a little nap, and then you'll be fine. If you walk a distance of a mil, or you take a little nap, it causes the wine to not have an effect. Mara says that's true, but it depends on how much wine you drank. Lami and more law, then we want to Rav Nachman and Rabbi Baravua lo shona ella kishashasa shiravius. That's only if you drank a certain small amount. Avoshasa yosim ravius kosher jadech matri dasai v'shena meshakartai. If you drank an exceedingly a lot, you drank a whole bottle of wine and you're totally smashed and drunk, so you going for a little walk is not going to remove that sense of you being drunk. In fact, it may get you even worse. You go to sleep, you may feel even worse. So therefore, that's the difference. A haircut you can get right away. However, you can't resolve the issue of being drunk right away. So that's one answer. Another distinction, when it comes to drinking wine, when it comes to drinking, if you go into the Beis HaMikdash and do the avoda while you are drunk, it's actually the avoda is not acceptable. Even though you're supposed to have a haircut, but a Kohen who did not get a haircut and did the avoda is still kosher. These are the cases shehein b'misa, that there's a death penalty. So obviously you don't want to say, oh, okay, I'm allowed to do this. You're not allowed to go pruei roish. You have to have a haircut. But it's not mechal devoida. Now, bishlam shusu yain behedik sebahu yain v'sher chal taste. Just be fair, allowed to drink wine. El pri roish minol dechsev v'roish yam yigalechu. It says in Sefer Yecheskel. We'll see why I'm mentioning that in a second. Uperol yishalechu. Now, uksiv basra, and immediately afterwards, it's juxtaposed smichas parshas v'yain lo yishtu. Kol koin bevoan el chatzar penimus. Ve'iskish perui roish suyayin. What is the connection? The hekesh. Mash suyayin b'misa. Perui roish is b'misa. So we end up learning out that there's an actual death penalty. There's a misa b'nishamayim if a person drinks wine and does the avoda. A person doesn't get a haircut and does the avoda. So umina. So l'chayra, if we are making this connection between the two, we should continue and go further. Just like the wine, if you drink, the avoda is not good. So maybe we should say the same thing when it comes to not getting a haircut. The Gemara says, we'll see the parentheses. Lo, no. Ki iskish lemisa hu iskish. Avulachul yavoida lo iskish. Okay. Armul Ravina Ravashi Ham man amra. This doesn't make any sense. Yecheskel brings us down. Where is this found anywhere in the Torah that there's this din, that there's a din misa of a person who drinks or doesn't get a haircut and does the avoda? Armulay says, 1 second. According to your reasoning, you have an issue with that. Certain things that are not explicitly found in the Torah, they're found in Divri Kabbalah and the Nevi'im. As it says, a person not allowed to go to serve Hashem if you're an oral lave or an oral basar, which means you were uncircumcised. Even if the reason why you didn't have a bris milah is because your brothers died because of it, and therefore would be something which obviously you can't have a bris milah because you're going to end up dying if you would have it done. It doesn't matter. Nonetheless, we don't allow you to go in. So, how do we know this din until Yecheskel that the law didn't apply? And I'll see the parentheses again. Okay. So, yeah, in Sefer Yecheskel these things are mentioned, but it doesn't mean that these laws didn't apply until Sefer Yecheskel came. These laws always were applicable, and then Yecheskel ended up mentioning them in Psukim. Okay. Let's see a couple of questions. Question 13. Ma'atam dolei asur rabana in the giduli peril kayin kimo she'asur shtias yayin mishel mehera yibana hamikdash. So he said there's a difference. There's two differences. When it comes to getting a haircut, you can just get a haircut right away, even if the base of mitzvah is rebuilt. But once you're drunk, you're drunk. You can't get that alcohol out of your system. Alternatively, a second shot is that when it comes to getting your haircut, even though you're chai misa for doing so, not getting a haircut and doing the avoda still is kosher. Or if you do the avoda while drunk, the avoda is possible. Question 14. Ksiv roishim yigo leicha farol yishalecha v'yanu yishtu. Man nilmanu imperi roish mehekesh yisuri shisui yayin. So we end up saying the hekesh is that there's an einish of misa. Also, the enu noig shloi bizman avoda kegoyin ha'inna the bayis charav. The time where the base of mikdash is destroyed, so these dinim do not apply. To the kohen, he's allowed to drink, he's allowed to not get a haircut. Okay. Weiter. Kol kosu b'megillas Taanit. Anytime it's written in the Megillas Taanit, the lemisbod that says you're not allowed to have a hesped on this day because it's a special day. Lefan of asul achar mutar. So even though it was a machlokas over there, just what it says here is the day before is also asur with a hesped. However, the day afterwards is okay. Tanabanan. Even yoimin deloilis anoabohoin. These are the days you're not supposed to fast on them. Umiksasoin. And some of the days the limismoid behind. You're not allowed to eulogize. So Meresh Yarcha de Nisan. From Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the first of Nisan, that Tamya Bay until the 8th day, Itoikam Tamida. They fixed up the carbon tamid, and therefore the lo lemisbed behind. So no hesped is allowed to be done from Rosh Chodesh Nisan all the way until the 8th of Nisan. Rashi says, Shahayat Sudukim Omrim Yachid Misnadiv Umevi Tamid. According to Sidukim, they felt that even an individual can make a nadava and bring the carbon tamid. And how do they darshan this? So Rashi says, the pasuk says, "As hakeves echad tasav abayker, as hakeves hasheni tasav ben arbayim," which is referring to the carbon tamid. So Maya hadrulhu es karbani lachmi l'ishai tishmru l'hakri of lashon rabimhu shihu kulan boyin metrumas halishka. It says that actually has to come from the trumas halishka, cannot come from individual funds. Okay, so during that time, because of establishing that the tamid was brought only b'tzibor, not b'yachid, so therefore there's no hesped. Metamni be ad seif moada, from the 8th day of Nisan until the end of the holiday of Pesach, itoisev chagad shvuaya. That's also considered to be a holiday. Though misbad behind, again, there's no eulogies. So what's so special about that? Says Rashi, showing you by tosim oimir matzeres achar shabbasu. they would always say, because the pasuk says Mimachar Shabbos, so they interpreted that the counting of the Omer and the bringing of the Omer offering had to be the day after Shabbos, after Saturday, in other words, Saturday night, which would mean, of course, that if we would start counting the Omer on a Saturday night, that would mean Shavuos would always fall out on a Sunday, okay, because that's the second day of Pesach. But the truth is, when it says Shabbos means a day of rest, namely the first day of Yom Tov of Pesach. So therefore, once we established, and we went back and forth with them to establish that, in fact, that is not the case, that it's not specifically the day after Saturday on Shabbos, so therefore, we don't make a hesped on those days either. So now the Gemara is going to dissect this, we'll see some of it. So there's no hesped allowed to be done from the 1st of Nisan till the 8th. So why does it say from Rosh Chodesh? Why does it just say from the 2nd to the 8th? Why does it include Rosh Chodesh? Rosh Chodesh Gufa Yom Tov Aser. You're obviously not to do a hesped on any Rosh Chodesh. So just start from the 2nd instead. So Amar Rav el Aser Yom Shulafanav. Rather, the reason is to Aser even the day before it. Shulafanav Nami Tebikle Dehavile Yom Shlifnei Rosh Chodesh. So why don't you say the same thing about Rosh Chodesh? The day before Rosh Chodesh should be Aser. Mary says no. Rosh Chodesh Deraisa Hu Deraisa Luboy Chizik. Just like when it comes to, let's say, Shabbos. There's no Isser Hesped the day before Shabbos or the day after Shabbos or any Yom Tov, because those are Dini Deraisa, as we saw before. Or Som Gedalia is Dibri Kabbalah, which is Kein Deraisa. So when it comes to Rosh Chodesh, if we said Rosh Chodesh, so the day before Rosh Chodesh, it would be allowed. You would be allowed a Hesped. However, once we said from the 1st to 8th, because Dibri Kabbalah, Dibri Rabbanon, Dini de Rabban is Tzrichim Chizik, so therefore that's why we said the 1st. The Sanya Hayomim Ha'elu Haksum Megillas Taanit Lifnei V'Achrei Asurin. Those days are us before and afterwards. However, Shabbos V'Yom Tovim Hein Asurin. Obviously, you can't do a hesped on Shabbos or Yom Tov, but Lifnei V'Achrei Mutarim, because we're very strict. When it comes to Dini de Rabbanon, we're not so strict. And therefore, because of that, Ma Hefresh Ben Zelazeh, hello, the Torah of the Torah ain't Tzrichim Chizik, doesn't need Chizik. It's already Shabbos. Everyone keeps Shabbos. However, hello, the Seifrim Tzrichim Chizik. Okay, we're going to stop there. But so we didn't finish the next piece, but at least that's why it has to say from the 1st of Nisan until the 8th, and not from the 2nd, because then by saying the 1st and the 8th, it also answers the day before it. Okay. Let's see a couple of questions. TA5. Madua anchi mishmar umaymid asurun l'sapr l'chabas. What is the whole problem of them not being able to get haircuts? The answer is shelo yichnasu l'mishmartim kashein menuvalim. We do not want them to enter. It's an interesting language of this question, but the whole idea is we do not want them to enter into their mishmar menuval, so therefore we want to make sure that they look nice. Okay, TB6. Emosai oimrim betfila psuki zichrono shefro v'shoifers alib de kolyami emosai machlokas. Actually, we saw this in yesterday's daf, very top of Yud Zayin Aleph. Again, the machlokas has to do with on Taanit, do we say that? However, everyone says on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur by Yovel and also by Shas Milchama that we say Shofar Zichronos Malchus. Let's see question TB 7. Koyin habola mikdash paru aroish. Ha'im hu b'misa. The answer is yes. Ha'im mechalel havoida, and the answer is no. Adkan.